This popular Twitter art contest with a prize pool of $1,000 allegedly is turning out to be a scam. This is also an art contest we've talked about prior in this YouTube video specifically, where one of the entries was allegedly traced. So the account that hosted this contest is now deleted, but thanks to internet sleuths, there are a lot of documentation of the post that was happening up until the deletion of the account. This is posted on Twitter by Twitter user Threshy or ThreshVT, Thresh from League of Legends, where Threshy writes, "This whole thing is suspicious. If answers won't be given via DMs, then a call out to this sus stuff is needed. Art scams, fake identities, and things that don't add up, all provided in this document. Let's get an answer." 3 accounts are tagged, and these 3 accounts are alleged to be the same individual, with the account by the name of Sekushi En being the one that hosted the art contest. So this is Threshy's document titled Sus, with screenshots of everything that was happening. So it's a new account named Trickstar, going by the handle Sekushi En, who posted about an art contest with a prize pool of 250 USD. This one was an interesting art contest because there was the addition of every like increasing the prize pool by 1 USD and every retweet increasing the prize pool to 2 USD with a 1500 USD cap. A lot of art contests has prize pools to try to incentivize people to join. I've never really seen a system like this where it's like engagement increases the prize pool. The document reads huge monetary value and raising up to 1500 USD. This is to attract many people, which it did. Typically, newer accounts are more suspicious and have a higher chance of being scammers. So the deadline of the art contest for Tricks was extended then to April 10th. And in the meantime, they hosted a brand new art contest with a $700 prize pool, which is listed. While we wait for this contest to end, let's do another. Prize 700 USD. This will be to uplift a creator. DM me if you'd like to enter. End date May 7th. And this was art for I Bum Bum, also known as Vexed. The doc reads, winners will be announced on the 15th of May. Then Tricks got into a crash and had to postpone the announcement. So April 20th, they posted that the first contest winners would be announced May 15th. And then on May 6th, they made a post writing, "I'm sorry, I've been so offline lately. I've been only replying to DMs. I was in a car crash a few days ago and was rushed to emergency surgery. So I've been dealing with some stuff. I'm slowly coming back though. Thank you for your patience." Also, we will revisit this later, but please take a note of their spelling and how they spell the word coming. They spell it with 2 M's instead of 1. Then May 7th, Tricks writes, "As this contest comes to a close, I need your help. What creator should I hold the art contest for next? Please leave recommendations. Also, delay on the first winners as I'm in the hospital still. Will update in a few days. Please bear with me." And they also misspell recommendations. Could not announce winners, but could be extremely active on Twitter. How would she know she would not be able to post the winners on time? If she is too unwell currently to announce the winners, she should be too unwell to do regular Twitter activities. Proof of activities. And you can see on May 7th, there are just posts from May 7th at 8:40 a.m. consistently. So then you can see this Tricks account is posting all throughout May 7th, and then it skips a day. It posts May 9th, May 10th, May 12th, May 15th, 17th, 18th, 18, 19, 19, 19, 19, 20, 20. And then finally on May 21st, the winners are announced. Thank you so much to everyone who's participated. It was an incredibly hard decision. So the first place goes to a user by the name of Ari Sunyan, and the second goes to Mickles Art. And then 5 days after that post, they posted that they unfortunately had passed away. This post actually went pretty viral. And it reads, "I regret to inform that if you're seeing this, I have passed away on May 26, 2025. I am so incredibly grateful for all of my friends who have been here for me, and I can't thank everyone enough for all the support and love. You are all amazing. Shoot for the stars." And the doc reads, no winner got their money at this point. Winners announced yes, the 1200 USD given no. And then additional screenshots were added. So for extra context, it was a really big thread of them like tagging a whole bunch of artists and thanking them, being like, "At so-and-so, thank you so much for your inspiration, blah, 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 blah." And like a whole bunch of artists were tagged. In the thread, Tricks writes, "For contestants, do not worry. My parents will be sending out the winnings. I ask you give them time as they aren't in the best shape right now." And the doc reads, "If the money was there shouldn't be a heavy delay in handing out the reward. This we will see if the winners ever get a penny. And then who's going to pick and pay those that enter the second contest? Remember, the contest for the friend named Vex." And then Tricks on May 26 writes, "Thank you all so much for the support. I ask that Vex updates my bio to my top draft, please. Thank you for the overwhelming support. I'm sorry I couldn't host anything anymore." The doc reads, "They died and they're worried about not being able to host any more contests. They didn't mention any of their sickness, but thought they may die, so they scheduled a post, but also posted that a new contest will be announced soon." So it reads, "Please go show love to all the artists that participated. They are also talented. New contests will be announced soon." A bit interesting as well because of the formatting of the post. So on Twitter, you can schedule posts, right? But you cannot schedule threads, which is when you have a post and then you have a bunch of replies under the post. Threads must be posted live time. So it's not possible that Trix scheduled this post because it was a really long thread. The only alternative is they had somebody else posting it on the account for them, like it was pre-written, and then somebody was given the login to the account and then they posted it as a thread. Because the other thing to note is that it's pinned on their profile. And from what Twitter users have speculated, on Twitter, you can only manually pin through your account. So again, somebody has to actively post it and pin it. There are third-party apps that allegedly can, go like circumvent that and pin it. But the general Twitter opinion is if you are unfortunately going to pass away, this is a really long roundabout thing to do that people just typically don't do. So the doc reads, they are the same person. The conclusion we have arrived to is I Bum Bum or Vexed is the same person as Sakushi Ien Trix. This was a ploy to get a bunch of free art and have another person take the fall, since you can't blame a dead person. Reasons and evidence. First, Vex has gone through many different aliases that are either old accounts and deleted or changed usernames. So here's them swapping to an account by the name of Vex Personal. And then on May 27th, they also have a throne link with the name Vexed VTEN. Other tags for their socials include Solus VTEN, Sato Lux, so you can see they like using the VTEN at the end of their username. Here allegedly is another account called NDubsEN that they've renamed to, and then another name by the name of Kaori VTEN. The doc reads, they are no stranger to changing up their aliases. Trickstar and Vex are similar in the double X's. Both have EN, which is a common VTuber thing, generally referring to EN VTuber, so English VTuber. But good to note as the EN is at the end of the name, which is a similarity amongst all of their aliases. Both have similar typing habits. And the doc knows that people can have similar typing habits, but when all the evidence is put together, it seems suspicious. Both Trix and Vex shares the typing feature of using double expressive, so they use both double question marks and double exclamation marks at the end of their sentences. They also type in lowercase, so they like to use the lowercase I, and when they start a new sentence, so they put period space. There's a lot of examples of them typing with lowercase i's. The doc adds, they are best friends but don't follow each other on Twitter. So you can see under Sakushi Ien, so Trix is following, the Vex account Bum Bum doesn't come up. Under Trix for Bum Bum, so Vex, Trix doesn't come up, but Vex's personal account does follow Trix. Another example is the blurred profile image. So an example of Trix posting a reply. So they post like a screenshot, I guess, of like a really long reply to somebody. They blurred out the profile image in the bottom corner, which typically means you're logged into an alternate account. We don't know what this alt account is. Or you could have just blurred it for fun, but then like, what's the point? If you are Trix and you're logged into your Trix account, there's no reason to blur this. Or I guess scrub it out in red, right? And the doc reads, the Trix account posted a screenshot of whatever this is. They have blurred the little section of the reply profile photo. Why would somebody need to do this if it's your own account? Then the doc reads, call out by Puli, who was an anonymous account accusing the thing of being a scam. Supposedly, they were DM proof of the whole situation being real. Please note, Puli is a random person that Vex supposedly doesn't know. Yet, Vex sent them proof because Puli called them out. We tried to ask for proof and got this message back. And this message, allegedly from Vex, reads, no, I don't effing know you. Only reason I sent it to them is because they were spreading false crap. They then got the proof and deleted it. I don't know why you're harassing me on a throwaway. I don't know you, you don't know Trix, you don't need to know anything or need to be shown anything. Just a random F that's too nosy for their own good. I don't know who the F you think you are. If you don't believe that my friend is dead, I don't know what the F to tell you, get the F off. They saw the proof and they deleted all their crap. That should be enough for you. F you. And the doc reads, so they aren't okay with sending the proof to us, a random, but they are okay with sending it to that other random person because of a call out. So this is the screenshot from Puli, where Vex is sending to Puli, and Vex says screenshots from when the parents sent it to me and told me what happened, genuinely like what the F. And then Puli says, okay, thank you for sending. And then Vex had made a post on May 27th that reads, y'all are so genuinely lucky I am not showing them this crap. They don't need the stress to go through or what I'm going through. Winners will get their stuff, you greedy effing money junkies. They didn't name anyone, so I feel it's fine if I post it. If you feel otherwise, I really don't give a crap. And the doc reads, DM from Vex's account about Puli for proof they were okay with sending info to a random person. How is one okay and not the other? Thus, we need a call out to get the truth. Make it make sense. Then some commenters added some extra context. So here we have Twitter user Hachi or Hachiru adding this to your screenshots. They fronted so hard they have the same misspelled words. How is it possible? And there's more examples of misspelling. The Vex account misspells the word referencing. Basically looks like re-Frenching, right? Without the H. The Trix account misspells the word referencing like that as well. So Trix says, instead of saying grateful, they say GRATEFUL. They say great, like, oh, it's really good, full, like that. So Trix and Vex makes that misspelling. They also misspell the word commission, The same? Look, nothing wrong with misspelling words. Words are hard to spell, especially if English isn't your first language. These are not common misspellings, from my knowledge, especially to be repeated over and over again between these two accounts. And then the word appreciate is also misspelled a lot between these accounts. So Vex, they spell appreciate APPRICIATE, and Trix spells appreciate the same way. They also misspell the word extremely, so EXTREAMLY. Both Trix and Vex have multiple accounts of them misspelling the words, and the word disappointing. And Hachi writes on the document, "You're very bad at spelling." So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different words that they misspell the same. So a lot of times when it's like accusing two people of being the same, some typing patterns are just pretty common on the internet, like the double question marks, the double exclamation points, the typing everything in lowercase. I do both of those. I'm sure many of you guys do too. Misspelling words like this is pretty uncommon, which leads us to much more of a smoking gun that these two are the same person. And Freshie writes, "That is truly wild. You friended so hard you picked up their spelling issues. Definitely not sus at all. Good find. 100% they're the same person." Freshie adds, "Common scammer behavior. DM me and then you DM and get blocked. Look alive, people. It's 2025. You can't say people should DM and then block them. We're glad to know your friend's death hasn't prevented you from asking for throne gifts." And Vex has a post being like, "What the F? Why would I make an alt account to host a contest for art I wouldn't even use? I've never scammed anyone. Hello? I will no longer be using any art from the contest. Don't worry. If you have a problem with it, you could have just DM'd me." Note, DM'd is misspelled as well. Like, there's not proper spelling for the word DM'd, but that's not really the common way people, I feel like, spell it on Twitter. And you can see Bum Bum or Vexed has blocked Freshie. Freshie adds, "Vex put out a statement. Please note the contradictions of what she said. She is going to ask the parents when supposedly she would never consider such a thing. She supposedly sent multiple people the proof, but also she states she sent it only to the first account, aka one person. So, pulley." Here, Vex says, "Not sure anymore if she lied to me about if she was actually going to pay them. She said her parents would cover it, so I'm going to talk to them and see what's going on with that. I've sent multiple people her car crash images, but I don't know what else they really want." Complete side note, I feel like that's kind of odd. Like, here's the car crash photo where she passed away from that. I don't know. Then Vex has another post that reads, "They privated the account because I provided proof." Note the misspelling of the word privated as well. "They could have just effing DM'd me. I don't know how many times I have to keep telling people Trix passed away. If I were to show her parents this, they 100% would just say F all of you and not give anything to the winner. Y'all are genuinely so lucky I'm not showing them this crap. They don't need that stress or to go through what I'm going through." And another post that reads, "Trix is actually gone. Please understand that. She was a real person. I can completely understand anyone that unmutuals me over this, as anyone has their own views. I have already shared the evidence with that first account. Therefore, I believe I don't need to share it anymore." So apparently they sent multiple people her car crash images, which is proof. But then they had also said they shared the evidence with the first account, so I believe I don't need to share it anymore. So, like, did you send it to multiple people or only one? I feel like it's odd to be sending somebody's accident photos around though, but... And then Twitter user Shubi or XYumiAIX says, "Also, Vex originally bought the design from me, then gave it to Trix. Vex was the one who asked for changes to the OC instead of Trix. Also, she blocked me everywhere, so that says something." And then this pulley account posts, "And look how she lies and begs artists for free art, but on the other hand, Trix's parents is wealthy," which Trix has commented, "I rebranded in a heartbeat. I'm in love with this." Another post, "Wow, I'd rebrand in an instant." And Vex says, "I would actually rebrand instantly, I wish. OMG, honestly, I'd probably rebrand if I got the bottom left girl. She's so effing cute. I wish I had the money, OMFG." And then Hexdoll writes, "My friend and I thought this was sus as crap. He made a joke on her post and they told him to die. Everyone involved in this is suspicious at best and vile at worst. What a disgusting scam." So this is what Hex is referring to. So somebody by Vinny Kills comments under the original post, the "I have passed away" scheduled post that isn't scheduled because it's a thread, it's not possible. Vinny writes, "Hey, I died yesterday as well. I came back earlier this morning. Feels good, man." And then Hex responds, "They faked their death and scammed a crap ton of artists. This post is so effing ridiculous and anyone with a brain cell can see it's fake. My friend was just making fun of the absurdity of it all. You're a liar and a scammer. Telling him he should die for this is crazy. Go to hell." So somebody's defending them, and then Hex has the screenshots. Vex quote retweets Vinny's comment, writing, "What the F is wrong with people? I'd run you the F over." And then they write, "Why would you effing comment something like that? Genuinely, what is wrong with you? My best friend is dead. You have the nerve to effing type something like that? You should just a self-abort." Everyone grieves in different ways. If it is true, that your friend has unfortunately passed away from a car accident, threatening to then do the same thing to other people is not a good way of grieving. And then Twitter user Kia Kuromi VT adds another contradiction. More screenshots from Vex's post, where Vex says, "I'll be transparent. I was on Trix's account a lot to help out with the tracing drama." So that is this video that I was talking about here, the fan art comp and to help other stuff here and there. So yes, that's me typing she hadn't done much online and I was helping. Trix lied about being broke to get a better chance at Needy's giveaway and wanted it to be over with, so I denied anyone else who wanted to see it. I'm sorry to those who have different views on this, and you absolutely do not have to believe me and have all rights to block me. I totally understand. Being doxxed over something I have no control over and didn't do is actually insane though. Please do read this all the way through before anything else. Again, I'm sorry for pointing that out again, but just note the constant misspellings, like the word different, the word control, the word insane. Here are some other commenters, and again, these are like comments, right? But RVB Live says, "No, she told me her friend was sad and had cancer and I made her free art. I just felt really bad." Another commenter, Rachel, adds, "She asked for updates on an art contest, like changes and stuff like it's a paid commission. I think it's weird, but I agree everything is sus, and I do hope she's not actually dead, but faking one is effed up." So then another user, Seiyu, or BubbleCat0, writes, "I don't know what to do. There's a VTuber that posted fake art contests for money and then faked their death to avoid giving winners their prize. That person has my design that I wish I could take back, but both their accounts blocked me. There's real evidence, by the way. BumBumV, I don't want to make this public, but you block me everywhere and I have no way to reach out to communicate with you. I absolutely hate scammers like you. I want my designs back. I really don't want this to blow up, and I don't want there to be a big drama from this. Currently, there is more and more evidence coming out that they are the same person, and now there's no way she can disprove it with what's come out. Google Docy expected." And then Seiyu adds, "I worked in this Google Doc with Q. Here's all the proof of why I believe they're the same person, so please read." So this is the doc in question, posted by QPie on Twitter with 2 E's, writing my statement regarding Trix/Vexed and why I believe they're the same person, plus other statements. The doc reads, "Introduction. First and foremost, this is not a hateful call-out post or to send harassment or hate to anyone. We're making this post because we believe Vex is Trix, and what they're doing is very hurtful and harmful to the VTuber community, artists, and people who are actually struggling with their mental health. Please don't send hate or harass anyone involved. This document covers the timeline of events, the confirmation of Vex and Trix being the same person, faking the death of Trix, faking illnesses, artist experiences, manipulating, not paying contest winners, and her being toxic to her friends. Real-life names or people who wish to be anon will be crossed out for safety reasons." And it states that Vex has made their own statement as of May 29th. So first, timeline. In this section, we'll cover the complete timeline of events, starting from the creation of Trix's account to the tweet announcing her passing. January 4th was Trix's first visible tweets, where Trix posts her OC under a smash or pass contest. The artist is unknown and not credited. It is important to note that Vex has this OC up on her coffee as sold out, implying that Vex was once the owner of said OC. It's also important to note that most of Trix's OCs were given to her or bought from Vexed. Evidence of this will be included. You can see here this adopt is posted on VGen by Vexed and it's sold out. So January 14th, Trix's third tweet, where Trix replies to a giveaway. I believe this was a giveaway that Needy had hosted, stating she would love to rebrand using the OC to start her streaming career because she's disabled and unable to work. And Trix says, "I would rebrand and use it to kick off my streaming career. I am disabled, so I'm unable to work. Therefore, I'm pretty broke. This would fix everything. Honestly, thank you so much for the chance." Remember, Vex had stated that Trix lied about being broke to enter this giveaway because they wanted the artwork. January 16th, Trix tweets a new design. So Trix replied to a "Can I draw you" post with a new design. Once again, no artist was credited, but it's been confirmed that the artist is BubbleCat0, or Bubba as referenced in this doc. So BubbleCat, or Bubba, is Seiyu. Bubba confirmed that Vex bought the design from Bubba for $5. We can assume that Vex also gave this design to Trix. Also, complete side note, the design is so cute. $5 is a steal. January 19th, Trix posts her art contest without the image of her OC. On this date, Trix posts her first art contest for herself and her OC. She has yet to post her OC due to it not being finished, she claimed, and would repost it once she had her OC with a 250 prize pool. Where it's a prize pool for 250, rules are has to be OC, must be okay with it being posted and being used as a profile photo or banner with credit, can be SFW or NSFW, must follow NDubsEN and me. They gifted me the OC. So note, remember, NDubs from Threshy's doc is one of the alleged aliases that Vex used to use. So maybe maybe this Trix account is trying to be nice and give their friend followers. Maybe they're the same person. Who knows? Then January 19th, they add, we'll post my OC when it's finished, then I will announce the start of the contest. So February 9th, Trix posts the contest again, this time with her OC. On this date, Trix posts the contest again, this time with a clear reference of her OC. The prize is still $250, but every like and retweet will increase the amount. Trix states the contest ends March 30th. This is surprising because on January 14th, Trix commented on the giveaway post stating she was disabled and broke because she can't work due to being disabled. However, she was doing an art contest. It was gifted to Trix by Vexed, as Vex told QPie this, and confirmed by Trix in her initial contest tweet with no OC, stating they must follow ndubs as they gifted it to her. Many couldn't find this account because they changed their user to iBumbum and is now iBumbumV, which is Vexed's account. And here is proof. A commenter says, "Hi, I searched for ndub EN's account and I couldn't find it." And then Trix says it was changed at iBumbum. And then here's proof. Vex posted the second one I gave to a friend, and that is Seiyu's design. Then the deadline was extended. April 1st, Trix replies to a comment on her contest stating she's a surgeon. And Trix replies to comment stating the reason why she can host such a large giveaway is because she's a surgeon and it pays off and gives her the ability to give to others. This statement does not correspond to the one on January 14th, as she stated she was disabled and broke due to not being able to work. It doesn't add up. So a commenter says, "Damn, bro's bank is infinite." Trix says, "LMAO, being a surgeon pays off and gives me the ability to give to others." Ironic, it was posted on April Fool's. April 6th, Trix posts about making an appreciation post that later turns into another giveaway. So they posted about wanting to do a little surprise for their friend with art, kindly worded notes, and whatever else people want to contribute. And they don't want to say who it is, so they're asking people to DM if they're interested. Then they state it would be voluntary as all their extra money is going to their art contest. And then Trix raised the prize pool to $1,200. April 8th, Vex posts a tweet about a car crash. So Vex posted a tweet mentioning that she and Trix will be visiting a friend who got into a car crash. This is the first post out of Vex or Trix mentioning a car crash. This also implies they live near each other, which is confirmed by Vex, who states they were IRL friends and neighbors. And Vex writes, "Do not interact today. My friend got into a car crash, so me and Trix will be going over to check up on him. If she doesn't respond to your entry or DM, please don't spam. She'll get to it tomorrow." And Trix quote retweeted it. So on April 9th and 10th, Trix makes a post stating she allows late entries, as long as there's a legitimate reason. And there's a Google form to fill out. So this was the post, the Google form was added. April 10th, Trix posts a new contest for an unknown creator. This was the one that we also read in Threshy's document, which again, you have to DM to enter to try to find out the creator's name. In the rules, it stated that they cannot post their art before the contest is over, and they must be okay with them using it with commercial rights even if they don't win. On a complete side note, being okay with using the artwork with commercial rights even if you don't win is a bit predatory. It is something that art contests will do, and they will have it in their clause so that they can kind of farm a whole bunch of free artwork, like free, right? As in you technically pay for a couple because you have the prize pool that goes to some people, but you get a lot more artwork. There's definitely hit or misses with this one, and this is a clause in art contest contracts that people in the past have not been okay with due to it feeling predatory. This was the rules where you can literally see where it says must be okay with it being posted, being used, commercial rights, not as merch. And then the winners were then delayed to May 15th. April 30th, Trix posted that there's 7 days left in her second contest, where again, the winners for the first contest haven't even been announced. May 6th, Trix posts saying she was in a car crash. On this date, Trix posts and says she was in a car crash a few days prior and was rushed into emergency surgery. Please note, this is the second time a car crash has been mentioned. So we've also seen these tweets as well. So May 7th, Trix delays the first contest for the third time. On this date, Trix posts saying that she's delaying announcing the winners due to being in the hospital. However, wants to host another contest in the future. It's important to note the winners still have not been announced. On the same day, Trix announced that her second contest was for iBumbum V or Vexed. An artist can now quote retweet their art, and those who aren't done can DM her. Below is a screenshot as well of some of the messages artists received, stating Trix was doing this for Vexed, who apparently had been diagnosed with heart cancer. Vexed has never mentioned this anywhere before. This was the message. It's a photo of Vex's OC, and it reads, "Hi, iBumbum is a friend and has been going through a really rough time. We found out she has heart cancer a week or two ago, and it's taken a huge toll on her, and she won't eat, talk, go out. She's insanely depressed because of this," which again, note the misspelling of the word insanely, which is why I want to do something to cheer her up. "I want this to be a bit of a surprise, but she genuinely is so sweet and deserves the world. I've known her for a few years now, IRL, and it hurts to see her going through this, as I can only do so much. If you would like to contribute a doodle little message, it would be greatly appreciated." Also note the misspelling spelling of the word appreciated. You will be credited. It'll probably be a week or two before I give it to her so I can gather as much as possible. I ask that you don't post anything till I give it to her so it can stay a surprise once I give it to her. You're more than welcome to post it though. Here's her OC. Otter. So May 18th, Trix tweets she's getting a new design concept and is having more surgeries. Then May 20th, Trix tweets the winners will be soon. It's delayed for a fourth time. On this date, Trix tweets out winners will be announced soon. The winners were supposed to be announced the 15th of May, but it's May 20th and it's still delayed. So May 21st, Trix posts the winners of the first contest. The winners are supposed to split the 1,200 prize, which means 600 to each of them. She doesn't announce when she'll send the money, only that a new contest has been announced. So that was the post. We have Ari Suyen as the first place and Mikkels as the second place. And then 5 days later, May 26 is the passing away post. Reasons were not stated, only that she did pass away. In the comments, she has created a thread that mentions some of her friends giving caring words. She also states her parents will be giving the contest winners money, but giving her parents time as they're hurt and grieving. She also states that the reason why these posts are being posted is because she scheduled them. So you can see it here. For those wondering how I've sent this message, I've been rescheduling and updating it as I expected this. And the doc reads, it's important to note you cannot schedule threads or comments onto other posts, or ones that don't exist yet. She also points out that Vex will be updating their bio to something in their drafts. It's important to mention that neither winners for the first contest has received their winnings yet, and that the winners for the second contest were never announced. So DMs to Redacted read, hi Redacted, I was wondering, did you ever receive your prize money from winning the contest for Trix? They say, hello, I haven't received my prize yet, but they say her parents will send it, said on her pin post she passed. And OP says, okay, I was wondering if the prize winners won anything, thank you. And Redacted says she messaged me on May 22nd and said she will send it next week. Irisu, the first place winner, was also DM'd, and it reads, I was wondering if you ever got your prize money from the contest you won. Irisu says, nope, I did not get paid my prize money. So May 26th to May 27th, Vex posts that she will be going on hiatus, then reposts her personal account. So the iBumBumV account reposts the Vex personal account. And then May 29th, the first Google Doc was released, which was Threshy. Vex and Trix being the same person. Proving that Vex is Trix is a bit tricky, however, comparing with other artists and a lot of similarities, these are the reasons why we believe Vex is Trix. First, using the same PayPal and PayPal name. An artist who wishes to remain anon reached out to Bubba, so Seiyu, wanting help. Since both artists had received PayPal payments from both Trix and Vex, they decided to cross-reference to see if they could find anything. After looking, they concluded the PayPal accounts used to buy the comms were both using the exact same name, for both Trix and Vex. We will not be posting the name because we don't want to dox. Below is the convo between Bubba and Anon, where they go back and forth, and Anon says, is it redacted? And Bubba confirms yes. So we have PayPal screenshots where it's redacted, so it's kind of like a trust me bro, right? But it says payment received from redacted with a redacted invoice ID and transaction ID for 20 USD. And then the next screenshot says Trix. Bubba screenshots of Vex's payment to her, also with the same name, once again blurred out for safety reasons. We know the screenshot below is Vex due to her buying an Octo design from Bubba, where you can see Vex is paying, right? Cashes out rest of Octo. And then here, so this is Bubba on Discord saying, you want the Octo design, right? She has a couple of art. I'll sell her to you for as much as the new design I'm getting will cost. Is that okay? And then Vex says how much? Bubba says 30 USD. Vex says, can I pay Friday? Here's Bubba giving the art. Vex says done. And then Bubba says, oh, I received it. Thank you so much. And then remember, we have the other post of Vex with the two designs, right? With this design artwork and then with the other design from Seiyu, the one that Vex ended up giving Trix. Next, similarities in names and templates. Trix has gone by different names, Trix and Yomi, as seen below. Yomi was a name Trix used for her Sona in a VTuber group. Gummy Yams used to be Trickstar's tag on Twitter, where you can see Trickstar and it says at Gummy Yams. And here is a post where it says, we write this with a heavy heart to share the passing of one of our members, Trix/Yami. The doc continues, their pinned tweet is almost identical to Vex's Discord bio, where Vex's Discord bio says, name, she space/space him, VTuber or whatever the best. And Yami says, Gummy Yami, she space/space him. The text is centered with a bunch of emojis, including the same like chain crossing emoji for the she/him pronouns. I mean, one other thing to point out is the fact that they do use same pronouns. That's not like a smoking gun, right? But just one more thing. So this is the one. Similarities in spelling and misspellings. These are all from Threshy's document, which we've already read, but they both misspell the same words in the same way. And then next is extremely similar art styles. Below is a screenshot of art Vex post that Trix made for a VTuber, and next to it is an art that Vex made that was sent to QPie. The art is almost identical, including the eyes, coloring, and line art. You do look at the two, they do look very similar. Like the face shape, the way the eyes are drawn specifically, like they're drawn like kind of like little orbs, but with a colored in semicircle on the bottom. Maybe it's two people that share a very similar art style. Maybe it's the same person. So next is Bubba's experience, and this will be directly written by Bubba. And it reads, "This is my personal experience with Vex or Trix. This is not meant to belittle Vex in any way. I just want to share how I felt taken advantage of by Vex and why I think she doesn't value artists." March 26. I recently posted a giveaway for an adopt that didn't sell. She sent me my tweet and made it very clear she wanted the OC. I felt very pressured by her, but I stuck my ground and said no. I'm not entirely sure, but it felt like she was trying to use us being friends as a way to get special treatment and receive one of my designs for free, since she wasn't interested in it when it was on sale. Keep in mind, I did give her an OC for free before. So in the DMs, Vex sent the artwork and said, "I want." Bubba said, "What do you mean you want? It's a giveaway. If you wanted her, you should have bought her when she was on sale, dummy." Vex says, "I want." Bubba says, "Too late," kind of in like a playful tone. Vex says, "Gimme." I make her into chibi model and re-giveaway. Gimme. And Bubba says, "I can't, it feels morally wrong." I found out that Vex upsold one of my custom OCs I made for her. In my head, I thought this wasn't a big deal, but whether it's 5 or 100 USD, it's still upselling and against my TOS. This has been resolved, however. I had no idea my Seal OC was even being resold, and she never informed me of it. I only found out about it through the person she gave the OC to when they reached out to me and told me they now own the design. I was gonna initially keep this private. However, if you're an adopt artist, I highly recommend you blacklist them. I have made many adopts and designs for Vex, and she rarely keeps them and sells them. I have made a custom design for Vex, and she immediately told me she'll resell it as soon as I sent it to her. When she sent me this, I felt so broken and hurt. It made me so uncomfortable. So Bubba says, "Hey Kaori." By the way, note the usage of the name Kaori, which is the name that Vex used to go by. And Bubba says, "I was informed you sold away my seal design. You only paid 20 USD for her but sold her for 25. I had no idea she was given away either, and that you scalped the price. I can't let you go this time, but please don't do this again and refund the person, please." Vex says, "I did. I'm so sorry. I generally thought I paid 25 for her. I can send you 5 to cover it." And then here, Bubba sends some artwork over. Vex says, "Thank you. I will most likely resell her." Bro, that's icky, man. This is just like a disrespect to artists. If somebody went out of their way to make artwork for you, maybe we could give benefit of doubt you didn't remember how much you paid for the artwork and you accidentally upsold it. But to immediately turn around and say that you're going to resell the artwork, it's a custom design that somebody took all the time and effort to put together and make for you. The design looks really cute, made by Bubba, and you're immediately like, "I will resell her." That's like the equivalent of somebody giving you a Christmas gift. You open it, you look at it, you're like, nice. I'm gonna give it to a friend though. Somebody's not getting Christmas gifts anymore. Vex knew I was a minor since it was on my profile, and I mentioned it in my tweets many times. Yet, she thought it was okay to ask me this. I felt so uncomfortable, but I tried to remain polite. What if I was a dumb kid and said yes? She'd basically be okay with sending a minor sus images. And Vex says, "Are you okay with suggestive images?" Bubba says, "I'm a minor, but thank you for asking first." I don't blame Bubba, by the way, at all in this instance, right? Because they're just being really, really polite. Why are you asking a minor if they're okay with sus images? The answer is no. Don't send that to minors. A, okay, let me crop it. Does the hair look okay? When she was buying my chibi adopts, I gave her the blue one for free because I trusted her and wanted to be a good person and friend to her. But she told me she might give the blue one I gifted her away to a friend. It hurt me since it was personally a gift to her from me, but I thought I was just being really sensitive and let her do whatever she wanted. Bubba says, "Yeah, my PayPal." Vex says, "Gimme." And Bubba says, "Here's without the watermark." So the artwork was sent. And then Vex says, "Does zombie come with commercial?" And Bubba says, "They both have commercial for you." Vex says, "Because I got a discount." "Okay, thank you. I might give the blue one to a friend. I will let you know if I do." And Bubba says, "Okay, you have my permission. Just send them my terms, okay?" That's just a feels bad, man. It's just disrespectful. Bubba is out here treating Vex so nicely, and they're just being taken advantage of. On my Twitter, I was venting that my donut cat design didn't sell. My true friends informed me it might have been because tax season, and usually sales are slower then, and comforted me. But Vex straight up said it's because I upped my prices. After everything she said to me, it made me cry because she made me feel like my art was worthless, and that it's not worth the price even though I spent hours and days on some of my adopts. I never asked her why. She just unprompted and told me all of that. And Vex says, "Can I be honest with you? I think it's because you shot up your prices. The reason I kept coming to you to buy is because I love your art, but it was also a really good price. As soon as you gained traction, you shot them up, you know?" This isn't meant in a rude way whatsoever, and I'm not shaming you for raising your prices. That's actually exactly what you're doing. I just thought I should let you know what I'm thinking. And Bubba says, it was my friend that kept nagging me to raise my prices, so I don't know what to do anymore. They tell me my art is worth at least 100 USD, so when I make it 80, then why doesn't it sell? Are they trying to be nice? And Vex says, I'd say maybe find a midpoint, like 45 a piece or something. I think it's just more of paying almost $100 for an adopt is a little crazy to me when it's other artists. You have a different style with your adopts. Instead of them being rendered, they're sketched. I feel if you rendered them, then people would give 80, but $80 is a stretch for me, you know? Again, I really hope you know I'm only trying to help you by talking to you about it. This isn't meant in a rude way at all. Here, she was calling out another person for upselling, but she literally did the same. To a lot of people, it might not be a big deal, but through my whole experience with her, I felt taken advantage of so many times. This is her real personality. If you're an artist, please stay away from her for your own safety. I made the design for Trickstar, and to see it being misused for her art scams make me furious. I look at all the beautiful artwork that took hours and days for artists to make, the design for the art contest, and my heart breaks knowing none of them will get a dime because it's a scam. She doesn't care about the artist, she just wanted free art. I am so sorry to all the victims. And here Vex is talking about an adopt that was bought for 200 and sold for 300. And here Bubba adds, below is many of Bubba's designs listed on Vex's coffee. She never asked permission to resell the alien cat or seal. So here are some designs, and 2 of them are sold. The alien cat and the seal are sold. Dude, the designs are so cute, man. Ugh. And this is just like another disrespect to artists, man, where you don't ask permission before reselling the artwork. So here we have QPie's experience and friends. Initial meeting and giving designs. I initially met Vex on May 17th after she tweeted that she needed Nitro and she would do art for it. I told her I'd be happy to gift her Nitro, and I proceeded to add her in Discord. One of the first things I did was gift her the Nitro, as I like to pay first and foremost before anything else because I don't want to forget to pay or have the artist worry. And here QP had gifted, and Vex is like, wait, what the F? We didn't even talk about the art yet. And QP says payment first. Vex says, I'm not accepting till you tell me what you want. Vex stated she wouldn't accept until we discussed, and that was perfectly fine. Me and Vex hit it off almost instantly and got along very well, and eventually discussed her creating a sleepy design for me. So here are some designs. QP is really excited, and Vex asked if any changes were needed, and QP says, nope, no changes. We chatted more and more, and it was going well. We discovered we both had bid on my current design that I ended up getting in auto buy. We chatted about art and VTuber things, memes, adopts, and designs. I had expressed that I had an old design I won for a giveaway, but I didn't use it anymore because it didn't feel comfortable since the design was more tanned than I was. Immediately, Vex started expressing she wanted it. However, I initially was going to keep it because I did like the design regardless. Then I told her that if she really wanted it, I would be happy to give it to her with the OG owner's permission since I won it in a giveaway. I made her promise she could not give it away or trade it at all. We then talked about trading since I would be getting art for free in exchange. We decided if the OG owner was okay with it, then we would. The original owner didn't respond right away, and every day until they did, Vex would ask me about it. So here on May 20th, 2025, QP says, I'm waiting to see what she says, and I'll let you know. On the same day, like a hot minute later, so like 17 hours later, Vex says, did they answer? I want to use her so bad. QP says no. The owner eventually said yes, and I handed it over. In return, I got Bubble Cat Zero design, which is Bubba aka Seiyu, with a few art. She got 106 pieces of art. Emotes art ref in return. Later, I found out she did not have permission to sell or trade the OC I got from Bubba. Next, being rude. There are many times that Vex would say rude or out-of-pocket things to me or my friends in private or public spaces. So here Vex says, jump, die, burn. I'm so tired of you. And then QP is like praising them, being like, I'm so proud of you, you did it. Vex says, die. So here is a public Discord server for a VTuber by the name of Fleas, where you can see Vex says, jump, dumb F, I hate you so much, I hope you get run over. According to Fleas, Vex would also come into her Twitch chat and repeatedly discuss the drama Fleas had, making her extremely uncomfortable. Vex also talked rudely behind my back, accusing me of not paying her the correct amount when I did. She just hadn't accepted the Nitro gift and stated she wouldn't do good art for $3. So here Vex says, we'll do art for Discord Nitro now, the $10 one. I won't do good art for $3. I don't know why Q didn't get that. She's a little slow. I love her though. Only if you're still interested. Never mind, she did it right. I'm just effing stupid. Calling somebody slow is a very ableist language. Bidding on adopts I was bidding on. Before I start this, I would like to state that Vex has somebody buy adopts for her and repays them in art, as she states here. So here Vex says, me and her often buy adopts together, and I draw a bunch of shit in return for buying the adopt for me. I'd expressed to Vex that I really liked the design and planned on bidding on it. Vex asked for the link and I gave it. Vex asked her friend if she could bid on it, and her friend stated she didn't have the money so they couldn't. Despite not having funds, Vex proceeded to bid on it regardless with funds she didn't have. I bid once again, but out of fear she would try and outbid me, I auto bought the design because I really loved it and wanted to use it in the future. I ended up paying 150 with a payment plan instead of the 60 I bid. The quote, "Are we gonna have a bid war?" end quote was me joking because we had bid against each other in the past before we met, but she obviously ended up bidding. So here Cupid says, "Are we gonna have a bid war?" They send the design. Vex laughs and Vex says, "You're lucky." And then Vex had DM'd the friend being like, "Can we? Can we? Can we?" And the friend says, "Unfortunately, no. It's screenshots redacted. Could be a bank account." And then Vex says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry to ask." Vex says, "Oh my God, I have to put together debut slides. I'd rather die." Cupid says, "At least you save money." And then Vex says, "Cough chicken noties, haha." And here you can see Vex is bidding on the adopt. Dude, this is just rude, man. Like, if your friend wants something, and you want that same thing too, that's fine. It happens. You can't afford it. Don't waste your friend's time. Your friend Cupid is super excited about this design. You're laughing. And then you maybe like jokingly ask your friend if, your friend has the funds to buy it for you and then you trade them in art. And it just feels like it's kind of like mean girl behavior, where it's like you're rubbing it in their face, cough, check your noties, ha 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 ha. Like, you know what you're doing with this. Next up, Gloomera's experience. Vex asked Gloomera if she could do art for Gloomera in exchange for her doing clips of her VODs. Gloomera initially accepted but never received artwork for the work she was doing. Also stated that sundresses remind her of dresses, yet asked a minor, Bubba, to help her with a smexual image. So these are DMs between Gloomera and Redacted, where Gloomera says, "Girl, I was letting her pay me through art for clipping her VODs, and I did it to be nice. Now I hear this crap." So Redacted asked for the art. Gloomera says, "Haven't gotten it yet. She sketched it on stream." And Redacted says, "Girl, Q didn't receive her art either." And Gloomera says, "OMG, this is what I get for trying to be too nice." So Vex says, "Goob, I have a lot of fun stuff on yesterday's stream. Do you think you could clip that for me and send me a list of stuffs you want drawn?" So Gloomera says, yes, send me the links and I'll clip." Oh Lord, okay. So the VOD was given and Gloomera says, "I need a summertime outfit illustration, hellhound dog pet. You can make me an outfit that's Japanese inspired. And then anything you want to make me is completely fine. If you see a cool trend you would love to draw, use me as bait." And then Vex says, "Doing the summer one. Do you have another reference of your hair?" And then Gloomera adds, "Also, this girl said sundresses make her think of children, and she didn't feel comfortable drawing women in sundresses." Closing statements. We have asked Vex to provide proof that her and Trix are not the same person, to provide proof that Trix did pass away. She refused to give actual evidence and only post excuses or other answers that don't prove anything at all. She sent screenshots of a car crash, which doesn't prove anything. Below are screenshots of us trying to get answers and her not giving a reasonable one. We're making this public because we believe this is something that needs to be shared. Lying about a death or illness, faking who you are, scamming, and being mean does harmful damage to people in the VTuber community. Once again, we are asking you to not send hate, dox, or do anything harmful. We just hope Vex can grow as a person and do better. If anyone else wishes to post their experience or anything at all, please feel free to do so. So in DMs to Vex, Vex says, "Making sure you're taking the bunny design back, yes, and do you still want me to finish your commission or do you want a refund? I'm indeed taking back the bunny design. Bubba did not give permission for you to give away the alien cat. I don't want a refund or the commission. However, I would appreciate if you could provide evidence that you and Trix are not the same person or admit that you are. Trix's death doesn't make sense. Neither does the circumstance surrounding it. We have proof of you two being the same person. You either need to provide hardcore proof or admit. This is hurting a lot of people and faking a death is not okay. Regardless of what you do, I'm posting a doc with all the evidence I have gotten from many sources. If you wish to rebut with evidence, you're more than welcome once it's posted." Vex says, "I'm sorry, but I don't owe you anything. I've said everything I need to at the moment. Have fun with your doc. I was just checking in. Thank you for the timely response." So this is to Bubba. Vex says, "No, what photo do you want? Tell me specifically what to send you." Bubba says, "Any DMs between you and Trix, maybe discussing the contest. Since you still text each other when it's late, there should be some kind of text like that. I literally even text my brother, even though we're in the same room, and if you're friends, then you would have some kind of DMs. Could you send the DMs where you're giving her the design, like actually sending the files?" Like, this is a really valid thing to ask, right? Because if you guys aren't the same person and a contest was hosted by your friend for you, the friend had to send you the art somehow, unless you're the same person. In that case, there was no reason for somebody to send you the art because you got all the artwork directly. Vex says, "I'm not interested. I've said everything I need to." Bubba says, "No real evidence. Does that mean you admit to it?" Vex says, "It's a really bad look, but I airdropped it to her. We were in the same effing house. It was the easiest crap. I'm not admitting to anything. I didn't do crap. Have fun." And Bubba says, "Each time you're confronted, you have an excuse and then they get blocked." I mean, even if, you airdropped it, there must have been some text between you guys. Like, "Hey, how are you doing?" Or what about your friend that got into a car crash? Any text being like, "Oh my God, so-and-so got into an accident. Like, come with me this afternoon to visit them in the hospital." So in the confrontation, Bubba says, "I'll show you the most inevitable one first. Trix commissioned an artist. Thank God she reached out to me. We compared the PayPal info between Trix and Vex and it's the same." And Vex says, "No crap." And Bubba's like, "Even though they're supposed to be two different people, what do you mean no crap? Also, I told you please be respectful. Vex says she let me use her PayPal for commissions since I literally can't make one yet. Like, genuinely. So, is Vex the minor? Because you can't make a PayPal legally till you're 18. Bubba says, I don't believe that, because before Trix even existed, you were paying for comms with that PayPal. The Trix account existed only in January 2025. Vex says, so you mean because Trix's account on Twitter wasn't there, she wasn't there? Bubba says, and what about the refund situation, where I refunded you because you thought you paid out of your own card or something? Could you explain that too? If it was really Trix's card. So you had your card on Trix's PayPal? Make it make sense, please. Nothing is adding up with your claims. And Vex says, yes, what? Dude, you can literally have multiple cards in your PayPal. Bubba says, dude, nothing is funny about this. So many people were scammed. Nothing is funny about the situation. And Vex says, actually, even so, that was on her card. And Bubba's like, yeah, you're making up so many things right now. And then Vex adds, I can prove that, one sec. So there's text, alleged text, right? Where somebody says, what are you buying? You're out of money in PayPal and you put my credit card over the limit. And Vex says, no, I'm not. I didn't spend anything over what I have to make sure not to. And they say, well, whatever you just bought came out of my card, which is attached to PayPal. Vex says, I forgot to switch it over to the PayPal balance. I'm sorry. Can you put money from PayPal into the credit card? The person says, I don't know. And Vex says, has the date and everything. Bubba says, could you show who the contact is? Vex says it's her real name. A little tinfoil hat theory. What if it was like Vex's mom that was like, yo, what are these charges? And then these are the alleged accident photos of a truck that is like completely 180 upside down. And it says, this is what her parents sent me when it happened. The car crash caused major head trauma and she had multiple surgeries leading up to the 26th. The last surgery she was in was the one she didn't make it out of. There were too much damage to her brain and she bled out. I will and would never show photos of her in the hospital or anything like that, so if that's what you're looking for, then you won't get it. This is the crash that killed Trix though, and this is all I'll send. Anything else could potentially lead to doxing or harassment of me or the family. I knew her IRL and lived next door. So for my and her family's safety, this is all I will send. So under QP's post, QP writes, I apologize if this doc is not perfect. I've been working on this with others since 10 a.m. this morning. More proof that Vex is Trix/Yomi. Remember Yomi being one of Trix's previous aliases. This corresponds with the Trix going by Yomi and now Vex also having accounts with the name Yomi. So here we can see the Vex VTEN account has gone by previous names including Vex VTEN, Glitchy Yomi, the cutie Yugo. And then in the Discord, her username at the time apparently was Yummy Yums. And then Doom Dame VT says, thank you so much for putting this together. Vex/Trix was part of a VTuber group project with many others. And hearing of her passing was devastating to us. It's terrible that somebody would fake that, and this was just the nail in the coffin to my suspicions. QP says, I am so sorry you all had to mourn and grieve something that never happened. Faking a death is awful and not okay, and shits on people who actually have passed in this community. I hope you can all heal. Gloomera says, I'm super proud of you for speaking up, QP. Thank you. And QP says, thank you too. So Twitter user CaliLover101 or Nova writes, holy crap, I really wanted to believe that Vex isn't doing all of this. I want to believe they're my friend too. I want to believe I'm not getting scammed, but holy crap. Hi, this is me. I'm that friend. In the document, when it stated that a friend of Vex's would buy adopts with art for repayment, Nova is that friend that was the one buying the adopts for Vex. Again, don't send hate to any parties involved. Don't blame any of the victims either. These are victims of somebody who's out here scamming people. Nova says, I wanted to trust Vexed. And QP says, it's hard seeing all the evidence and other ways she mistreated her friends. And Vela Puff adds, it's actually crazy. I find it really odd that Vex would say, quote, I hope you get ran over, end quote, after one of their IRL friends and Trix got in a crash. I also forgot about this, but when I won Vex's cheapy model giveaway, it was supposed to be rigged as well, and it never was. I'm sorry you guys were involved with them. Y'all deserve better. And then the rigger clarifies, hi, I was the person who was supposed to rig your model, and that was at no fault of Vex. I just have not had the time or energy to rig the model. And Vela adds, thank you for clarifying. I apologize for the misunderstanding. And then Gutsy VT says, throwing this in here for you guys. This was a frequent occurrence on my streams. Here you have Vex. This is April 17th, 2025, writing, hello, I'm here to let you know Trix is having trouble getting into her Twitch account. Please be patient, she's coming. If she's having issues in like 20 min, I'll let her log into mine. And then Vex, aka allegedly Trix on Vex's account saying, hey sweetheart, it's Trix. I couldn't get into my account, but I'm watching. Mwah. Either they're BFFFFs, like besties where they share Twitch accounts and PayPal accounts, or they're the same person. But she says, well stated and nonetheless just as wild to read. So then we have Twitter user Mimi writing, my side of the Vexed issue. Genuinely thought we were friends till you hurt me and others. Also, I wish I could show you guys, but my kitten is asleep on my desk and he's so cute. So Mimi writes, hi. So in this doc, I'll be revealing some info about what happened on my end. Vex has always been a close friend to me back then, in which she first DM'd me wanting to commission a model from me. She didn't, but doesn't matter. It's just how we first started interacting. This was back in November 2024. So she said she'll save up, and from there we became friends. She would ask me for art tips, and I'd give her the art tips and anatomy help. Time passes, and we began VCing. We talk and stuff about personal stuff. I face reveal to her and show her my cosplays, etc., because I trusted her as a very close friend to me and whatnot. So she talks about how she's never cosplayed, and I decide to gift her a Ganyu cosplay, just because I love buying stuff for friends. One day, she decides to DM me about wanting to sell her character she had because of personal things she told me. I was gonna donate, but I had no money, and I was living to eat and to travel to college. We get closer as we sleep call, DM every day, etc., as I genuinely saw her as a really close friend, even though she does sound really aggressive when she talks. She DMs me about wanting to commission me for 3 bases for her to practice her art with, in which I said, quote, yeah, it's fine, just don't use them to trace and use them for commissions, end quote. So the names here are different, but Mimi is world's weirdest boner, and Mimi says they can be used to make OCs or outfits or to learn with, but not to sell. Vex says, oh yeah, of course, and Mimi says, okay, yep, enjoy using them otherwise. And then some bases were sent. Vex says, thank you so much, bae. I would set a ref for this. Is it possible to make more like this? And then Mimi replies, sure, by the way, with the distribution of bases, they should only be used for learning purpose and not selling. Just putting it out there. And then Mimi sends the base as a normal and transparent. And then here, Vex, in reply to the, hey, it should only be used for normal purposes, Vex says, what do you mean? Then Vex says, ha ha ha. And then this is also in regards to the bases, so they're out of order. This is 2 days before the bases were sent. But Vex says, haha, I'll give you 45 total for the 3. Is that okay? I'm low-key broke. This is the last one I need. Sorry if it's hard. I can bump it up to 50. Then they sent a photo of somebody's OC that's redacted. Mimi says, don't worry, as much as you want. I don't mind. Vex says that they can pay Thursday, but that they need the bases before Thursday. So the screenshots are out of order. And then in this screenshot, so this is now after the bases were sent, Vex says, wait, Mimi, I can't use them for commissions? Do you mean like not to sell them individually? Or like, I'm lost. And then Mimi says commissions will be selling the base even if used. It makes sense that if the base can't be used for commercial use, that you can't use it for commissions, because the way a base works is it is the bottom of the artwork. So if you make a base for like the body, right, that is going to be the body of the artwork. And then you put hair, clothes, face, whatever, but the body is still going to be the base. So the base will be in the final commission that you sell. And if you were to do it for a commission, you would then be profiting off of that base, if that makes sense. So in the doc, Mimi writes, she still didn't pay for any of the bases till this day. I confronted her today as of May 30th, 2025, and she said she will, but who knows? Update, she paid me £20 for it, even though she said she was going to give 45 in the above images, but I said any amount she wanted, so I don't care about it anymore. One day, I posted about an octopus model adoptable I was putting for sale. She loved the design and wanted it. She DMs me wanting it, and she offers to art trade, in which I don't accept, because I don't accept art trades. So this is March 10th. Vex says I want. Mimi says, what are you gonna do with all those kitties? Holy crap. Vex says, the Octo Girl, so bad. You don't understand. I'll trade OCs, I beg. And Mimi says, oh, it's not about the trading, to be honest. Another VTuber buys my octopus adopt model, and plus they commission another outfit for it, in which he DMs me telling me that person that bought it ruined it, and now it's ugly. So here, May 14th, so 4 days later, Vex says, that's it. I'm making an octopus girl. And Vex says, they ruined her. I hate emos. Mimi is like, she's not emo, it's a second outfit. Vex says, it's ugly. And Mimi says, no, it's not, I like the outfit. Vex then says, it's ugly and she should. This hurt, as basically I took it as her calling my art ugly and bad, even though I liked the outfit the person commissioned told me to draw, but oh well. Again, this is just so rude. Over and over again, we have Vex telling people they should be unalived. Some people might say, oh, Kat, you don't get the edgy humor, but this is just odd. And then calling the outfit ugly directly to the face of the person that made the OC. Come on. Time passes as she DMs me asking to buy her an adoptable that costed £100, in which I said I didn't have the money. So April 25th, Vex sends an adopt, and Vex writes, buy me this, heart emoji. I don't know if she took it as I have money to spare, but I don't. I literally barely have the money to barely live off of, and sometimes I treat myself or friends and stuff once I actually do get paid off commissions. Just to suggest that, felt like she was using me for my money that I struggle to earn. Yet again, whenever I post any adoptable on Twitter to sell, she offers art trades, and I still decline because it's valid. I need money, not art. I offered to make her a free model because I like making free art for friends, and I was in the middle of making it when one day she asked me if she could commission a second model outfit. So I said, yeah, sure. She tells me how she always wanted a pirate outfit, so I say an extra outfit would cost £100, but I'll reduce it to 70. She then writes about how money is tight. Then I say £30. So I went from £100 to £30. Crazy, right? She then speaks about how she only has $3 and she can offer me an art trade instead. I decline and she doesn't say anything about it. For me, it always seemed like she commissioned so many artists, as she would DM me artists she commissioned. But when it comes to me, she's broke, doesn't have money, and she can just get art for free from me. I decided to not work on her free model, as I'm not going to waste my time on somebody who believes artists shouldn't be paid the amount they ask for. When I DM her about all of this for a final time, just read it. It really just sounds like Vex is using Mimi for anything they can get. Free art, Mimi's money to buy them things, etc. So this is the conversation where Vex said, half the times I showed you things saying I wanted it. It was just showing you because I was interested and I want to share my interest. Vex says, then you asked me recently about a pirate outfit and how you'll do an art trade. Vex says, you said no and I said okay? LMAO? Mimi says, I'm not supposed to say no every time. Vex says, you were the one that offered a lower price. Mimi says, I mentioned I don't do art trades, but you asked me to be honest. Vex says, I still didn't take it, referring to the lower price from the outfit, where the outfit dropped £70. Mimi said, yeah, from £100 to £30. And then you asked for an art trade. Vex says, your art isn't worth only $30. That's why I didn't message about it again. And this is odd because allegedly wasn't Vex the person that was like, £100 is too much, £70 is also too much. Mimi says, why should it be free then? Referring to their art. Vex says, it shouldn't. I literally never said that. Mimi says, it's the implication. Vex says, not effing even. And Mimi says, in my opinion, I'd actually rather have £30 than an art trade from anybody. Vex says, I'm sorry you took it that way. Which also, I'm sorry you took it that way is a very manipulative thing to say. Mimi says, because £30 would pay for my food and train. And then in response to that your art is worth more than £30, Mimi says, that doesn't make sense then. Vex says, it's worth more than 30. That's because I didn't message about it because I can't offer anything. Mimi says, why would it not be worth £30, but it would be worth an art trade? You message for an art trade. And then Vex kind of bumps it was worth more than £30, which is why I didn't message about anything. Mimi says, after I said $30, it wasn't before I said 30, it was after. And Vex says, because to me, art for art is fair. Mimi says, how is it fair? And Vex says, because I do price matching with the art you do. And Mimi says, how will art pay for? And Vex says, if you do a piece for $20, I'll do a piece for $20. That's what I do. And then they go back and forth and Mimi says, you commission artists that when it comes to me, quote, I can't pay you for the bases, I'm broke right now, end quote. I shrugged it off and it became a recurring thing. It should have been obvious that I don't do art trades, to be honest. Vex says, because I couldn't afford it then, I got paid like a week after when I had forgotten about them. Then he said not to worry about them, so I said okay. Mimi says, I said don't worry, aka you can pay anytime. I even said you can pay anytime. I think this was back in December, even if you use them or not. And I was even making a model that I would charge £1,000. That's how much I valued our friendship. And to ask for another outfit and say that you'll do an art trade, even though I offered £30. And then in response to the don't worry about it, Vex says, I took this as just forget about it, likely referring to the payment. That was a miscommunication. In response to the free VTuber model that was worth upwards of £1,000, Vex says, you offered the model? And then going back to the outfit, Mimi says, I'm talking about the outfit, read the full thing. Vex says, you usually charge £100 for them. Why would I do it for 30? You deserve the full amount. And Mimi says, why did you offer an art trade? Even though I've said so many times that I need to pay for the train and for food. Vex says, because I price match. So they go back and forth about this art trade versus payment thing. And then Mimi mentions the octopus model. Then Mimi says, it was rude to insult the outfit, etc. And quote, made it ugly, end quote, etc. But an art trade for that as well? And Vex says, I don't know, man. Mimi says, I never take art trades, never did. You could chalk it up to miscommunication. I feel like I'm picking up what Mimi's putting down though. Like Mimi's point, right, is that art trades are valid, but you can't survive off of artwork. Like Mimi needed money to buy food, to pay for the train and other bills and expenses they had. So they weren't going to do an art trade because you can't buy food with Vex's artwork. You can't pay for the train with Vex's artwork. So, I mean, Vex has their point of they were going to price match the art, but it's not the same as cold hard cash you can use for things. So in the doc, Mimi writes, quote, assuming that I didn't need the £30, end quote, why else would I open up commissions? Just for fun? No, it's my source of income. If you think this whole thing was a miscommunication or a misunderstanding, it's not. I made it clear many times to her that I don't do art trades and that my prices are fixed. So she offers art instead of the £30. What am I gonna do with the art? Show the bus driver and hopefully he lets me on? Be for real. You were lucky I reduced it from £100 to £30. And why even ask for a second outfit if you don't have the funds for it? And that's the one that I do really want to hammer home too, right? Vex's point is, oh, I know you lowered your prices for me, but your art was worth more than £30, so I didn't go with it. But the point that Mimi is making here is very valid. Like, why ask for this extra thing in the first place if you literally have $3 in your bank account? So you know for a fact you cannot afford it. Because you yourself said that Mimi's art is worth more than 30 pounds, aka worth more than the $3 in your bank account. And I think it would have been different if it was just like, oh, how much are your outfits? How much are your outfit designs? I want to commission one in the future. I can't afford it right now. Versus, I want to buy one from you. And you just don't have the money. Mimi writes, she's done something similar as a friend of hers wanted a design. Vex begged another one of her friends to bid on it for her and pay. Her friend didn't have the money, in which Vex decided to bid on the adopt without having any funds just to prevent her other friend from getting the adopt. This is so effed up. Yeah, Vex/Trix, great friendship, which we've already read about this. She values artists so lowly as I confronted her about a previous instance, how she insulted an artist because their price was originally $130 and they only received $100 and didn't receive the $30. And they made a public post about it. 100% valid, I would too. And she attacked them and said the 100 is enough and how they made a big fuss about $30 for nothing. Like, excuse me, but $30 in some countries is a lot, first of all. Second of all, some people value money. I don't know if you do, but that's a you problem. So the Twitter user says, because some people aren't fortunate enough to think $30 is fighting for. And Vex responds, it's not when you already have 100 USD out of her. And I bet you she was gonna finish the and then it's cropped off. Guys, $30 is a fair amount of money. Like, I don't know where you live to think $30 is nothing, but where I currently live, which I'll be moving tomorrow, but my portion of the internet is $30 here. That's like a month's worth of internet for 30 bucks, right? And Mimi writes, if I'm gonna go to a shop and something is labeled as 60 pounds and I pay 50 pounds, they aren't gonna give it to me. I'm not gonna start calling them dumb and selfish for rightfully wanting the full amount. That's just R-worded on your end. And then Mimi writes, chat, I can reclaim that slur. I'm disabled, but go on. So Vex, in their DMs, they're talking about the situation. Vex says, I didn't attack anyone. Mimi says, it just seemed aggressive. I read over it. Vex says, I literally only quote retweeted, basically saying, I thought it was stupid. They were so aggressive over 30 bucks. Not that they shouldn't have gotten it or they didn't deserve it, just that they were aggressive over it. Mimi says, it was still aggressive and I read over it. They weren't. You were insulting them. I read it. And Vex says, I thought it was dumb. Yeah, they were in multiple other posts. And then Mimi says, then why did you post about it? Even though you know $30 is valuable in different countries. Vex says, I thought it was dumb. Mimi says, well, it's not. Vex says, to me, it was dumb. And Mimi says, that just shows how much you value artists though. Vex says, just that they were being aggressive over it. I'm literally an artist. They deserve the 30 bucks. Sorry, caps. In response to Vex being like, I'm literally an artist, Mimi says, it doesn't mean artists can't attack other artists. AKA, just because some accept art trades doesn't mean all. Some need it as a source of income. AKA them and me and many others. Vex says, they deserve the $30, yeah, but they didn't have to harass and attack somebody over it. Mimi says, yet you insulted them. And Vex says, what the F ever, because it pissed me off. Then they go back and forth on this. Mimi says people who don't properly pay artists are disgusting, and Vex says, can we just be done already? I'm over it. In the doc, Mimi writes, I'm literally an artist. You know that artists can hurt others? You're aware that not everyone has the luxuries and not everything is handed to them on a silver platter. And sorry, not sorry, but the whole thing with price matching and art for art is fair thing, an artist with much more experience who is making you a second model outfit for your free model is not on the same level as a beginner artist who uses bases. How is that effing fair? So examples of her admitting she's a beginner artist. So here is a conversation between Vex and a Discord user by the name of friggin' Packet. So now I don't know if this is Mimi, like, you know, and people change Discord names. But some art was sent, and then friggin' Packet says, it's really good. I'm always happy to take advice. And Vex says, LMAO, it was my first time trying to draw an actual thing. I've always been too scared, so I stick to chibis and silly stuff. I need help drawing faces and eyes because it's pretty heavily referenced. So they were asking for advice. Another message in November where Vex says, I do suck at drawing, by the way, little doodles are all I can do. And Mimi adds, and keep in mind my model art costs 600 pounds, which I put to sale for 500 currently, and a model outfit is 100 pounds. I offered to make the model for free because I considered her a close friend. Mimi and Vex at this point were very close, so Mimi was just being kind and giving things to their friend. So here is a screenshot of the model with kind of like hair and eyes rendered. The hair rendering is really pretty. So Mimi writes, this is what I made so far. It took me 10 hours in total and consists of around 120 layers so far as well. I don't know how she's gonna be able to price match, but pop off, I guess. When I mentioned the bases, she didn't pay me from last year. She assumed she didn't have to pay them. I told her no and she could pay me anytime she wanted. She DM'd me how she didn't know and was gonna pay me when she gets paid soon, so I'll update this if she does. And she paid 20 pounds. There are many other things that you have done to me that I won't publicly state, Vex, and you know it. I shrugged it off. I'm gonna be honest, but it still hurt me. You used me as a second option, and one of your messages to me proved it. It hurts to be a second option, and you had no shame in admitting it. Vex, if you're reading this, I genuinely thought we were really close friends. However, you used me. You also lied to me about your IRL name, LMAO. I was really hurt reading everything about you, as you have not only hurt me, but others as well. Please fix your aggressive behavior towards everyone, as you have always been in the wrong. All you do is block, then go and insult the people that rightfully called you out. Instead of making excuses for yourself, please take accountability once in your life, please, and thank you. I'm gonna add on that you told some friends that I took this out of context, and that this is how we joke around. When I mentioned you telling Nova to end themselves over the octopus design. No, this is how you joked around. It was so one-sided, you kept telling me to jump KYS and stuff like that. Like, I have no problems joking around like that with other friends, but when it came to you, I couldn't, since you sounded too aggressive and serious when saying. You're also blaming everything on me and how it's all my fault for, quote, taking shit out of context, end quote. And how, quote, Mimi, I told you to tell me when blah blah blah, end quote, just to save your image online. Stop putting the blame on me. I am not your parent. I'm not supposed to tell you what's right and wrong. And the fact you blamed it on autism is effed up, since I have autism too. Autism isn't an excuse to act like a shitty person. So this is Vex's personal account where they tweeted all the shit in the relationship was because she couldn't communicate. On another note, at Mimi, if you would have just talked to me about how you felt when you felt it, it could have been fixed. But you decided to keep that in when I told you I needed that verbal communication. Mimi, quote, retweeted that saying, "You're an adult. You should know what right and wrong is. I'm not your parent, and it's not my responsibility to take accountability for your actions. Take responsibility once in your life and don't pin the blame on me. You should know, quote, oh, I shouldn't have told people to end themselves, end quote. I don't have to sugarcoat everything for you, babes. You did all this for what? Everyone knows you are wrong. If anyone opposes you, you throw a temper tantrum, you block them instantly. That's why no one tells you crap." And Vex says, "It was a joke. I've always joked like that. You know this, and you could have just let me know you were uncomfortable with it. If you would have talked to me about it instead of letting it pile on, then explode on me, I wouldn't have blocked you." And Mimi says, "Girl, it was so one-sided. I would respond with no, or, but I like it. Or sometimes a sad face. That should have been enough. You were so aggressive saying it that sometimes it felt like you meant it. I also friended you in the era of me trying to recover from a life-ending attempt, which I told you." Vex says, "Could have told me you were being serious. I thought you were joking, and I'm sorry for that. I should have asked, but that's how I've joked with everyone forever. I didn't know." And Mimi says, "Well, everyone you joked with that way had a problem with it genuinely. They all told me the same thing." And then Vex says, "They should have just talked to me about it. Genuinely, I can't do anything to fix it if no one tells me about it." And Mimi says, "They should have, you could have. Can you say I should have once in your life and take accountability?" Vex says, "I haven't done anything to you, Mimi. Nothing that I see as wrong, and I want to apologize for something I didn't do. I'm sorry you feel that way. Do you want me to say sorry for my humor?" And then Mimi's like, "Wait, excuse me? Can I DM you and tell you everything?" And Vex says, "Please do. I'm sorry you feel that way" is most definitely a line that manipulative people use. Mimi writes, "I DM'd her and she would either ignore some of my points, blame stuff on me or others, or say it was a joke." So basically here in this screenshot, they go back and forth about blaming, where Mimi feels that Vex has blamed them for things and Vex feels like they didn't blame them for things. And then Mimi adds, "Well, it sounds like blaming you should take responsibility." Vex then says, "I just did. I literally apologized for it." And Mimi says, "Where's the apologies for faking your friend's death? Where's the apology to all the artists calling them money hungry when you're the money hungry one?" And then Vex, this looks to be a separate post, says, "I'm literally autistic as F. I told you this. It's really not my fault, not your fault either. I just really wish you would have talked to me about it instead of keeping it all in, then blowing up on me." Mimi says, "And I really wish you wouldn't use me. See me as a second option, then discard me. You were a close friend to me, then you hurt me. After I saw the truth, I feel like I've been lied to the whole time. You still have no remorse for it." Mimi writes, "Blaming autism is crazy, dog. Quote, it's not my fault and it's not your fault either, end quote. Hell, I know it's not my fault 100%. It's your fault though, broski." And then Mimi adds this, "New effing update on Vex or Trix. I'm writing this with rage as I tried to give her benefit of doubt. Vex and Trix are 100% the same person. When I was friends with Vex, I said she can follow me on my main accounts, including my Twitter, and gave it to her. She followed me on there, not on her Vex account, but on the fake Trix account. So yeah, the freaking packet account, we can now tell, is Mimi. So Mimi's like, I'm posting more on my main account, my IRL account. Vex says, can I follow? Mimi says, if you want me to send you what it is, yep. Then Mimi sends the Instagram and says that it's the same thing on YouTube. And then Vex sends a screenshot of Twitter, which is Mimi's account being like you. And then Mimi adds, here's some proof that she liked a post of mine when we used to follow each other on our mains. And here you can see a like from Trickstar Ragdoll Cat VT, where it says, sketch for my YouTube channel. I'm making reaction channel and shit, so yeah. To end this, Mimi writes, Vex, you are a disgusting human being, considering that I had a friend pass away last year, and now you're out here fake mourning your fake made-up friend. Shut the F up. See you next Tuesday. Anyways, sorry, good night. My typo's really bad because I was high and upset, so... This one's wild, though. So honestly, this entire time, I thought Vex was like 14. right? But Vila Puff adds, I bookmarked this to read at a later time and wow, isn't Vex an adult? Why is she acting like an actual child? I'm sorry she was so rude to you. You didn't deserve that at all, especially after offering a free model to her. Mimi says it's all good and she's an adult, yeah. And then we have another update. Hello everyone, I'm one of the winners of the scam contest, and the amount of evidence that has been put out, I am still in pain and need of help. The medicine for my back is almost out, and I was hoping to use my winnings to get checked. I worked so hard on this. This is Mikkel's artwork that they made of Vexed, and then this is their artwork for Trixed, where you can see second place is Mikkel's artwork. And then these are DMs between Mikkels and Vexed. Mikkels says, I'm so confused and down. I don't know what to believe anymore. With all that's happened, I trusted you. You know I have a medical condition and needed the money to get checked. Did you really scam us and give us false hope? Why? What have we done to you? We give you so much love and support. And Vex says, I have nothing to do with this. Sorry you felt that way. Mikkel says, I really needed the help. I worked so hard. I've been crying all night thinking of how I'm gonna buy my next batch of meds. We're so poor, I've been trying my hardest. And Vex says, I totally understand, and if her parents genuinely don't know about it, I'll be working to pay the winners myself. And then this is DMs between Mikkels and Trix about the artwork for the friend, which is Vexed. Mikkel says, hello Trix, I don't think I'll make it. I've been having extreme back pain lately and have to close everything temporarily. Can I just give the art as a gift for iBumBum/Vex when it's done? I really can't sit for long periods of time. And Trix says, all good. I can give you 5 extra days if that works, or if you need more time, that's fine. And Mikkels writes, Trix or Vex knew about my medical condition, and she still did this to me. How can somebody be so evil? And then look at, oh my god, look at this. Trix says, it's completely okay, your art is amazing. And then Mikkels had sent the art, and Trix says, that's so cute. Honestly, I really would like it if you finished, as she has heart cancer, and this pretty much aligns with her. I could offer some sort of payment maybe? I'm really not able to spend much right now with the contest winners from my first one being picked soon. Trying to pressure somebody who's going through health complications to make artwork for your OC where you're lying about yourself being a separate person who has heart cancer when you do not. Wild. Mikkel says yes, because it was originally going to be a gift. I myself have health complications too and would really love to make it as an entry for a chance to maybe buy meds or get checked if I get lucky enough to win. But right now, if I choose to abuse myself for a chance, I cannot. I'm sorry, Trix. I can finish, but not in days. I need to recover. I colored this laying down. Mikkels adds, I was the last one to enter the last contest, and looking at it now, every time she messaged me, she keeps adjusting the announcement. I was the last piece. When I told her I would be back in June, she died 5 days later. Under Mimi's doc, Mimi adds, you should see how she replied to the artist Mikkels, who has an illness. It hurts so bad to see it. And this is a quote retweet of Mikkels' post. We can see in Discord, Redacted says what the F, and Vex says, so effing mad. Like, who the F do you think you are? And then Vex posted, this is a notification I got from Trix's account, where Mikkels had DM'd, will you be able to send my winnings? I really need to get checked. And then Vex says, like, what the F? Mikkels says, Trix, are you there? So Trix is out here trying to paint it like Mikkels is demanding money when, well, first, Mikkels rightfully earned the money through the contest, but 2, Mikkels needs the money, and you're out here painting Mikkels like some money-hungry person that they are not. And then Nova adds, adding to this, she literally said I should die because of a second outfit for a model I bought, and this is about the octopus model. So then we have some updates about the designs. So Seiyu writes, the pink cat design is returned to me. The scammer no longer owns it. I'm so sorry to everyone who is involved in this contest and never received the prize that they were promised. I took back the rights to the design. She'll be safe with me. Nova adds, we talked privately about it and Vex returned the OCs I paid for on their behalf. This is just a public statement letting others know I am the sole owners of the designs below. And then what's really sweet, in the comment section for Nova, people who had entered the art contest that Fake Tricks hosted for the Otter OC are gifting the artwork to Nova. So Skyla VT is gifting this gorgeous illustration to Nova. Ristoki is also gifting their illustration. Ichigo is offering the animation they've made. Marisa is offering their artwork, and Lazarine as well. So that's at least really sweet. So then this other post was made by Yuchi VTube. And I knew Vex before she started VTubing on a contract that she's been using people's money, especially those who are dating her. And this is the stuff that her ex told to my friend and forwarded to me. So the friend writes, 1. He lies about never eating, uses that to get money off people, and then spends that money on stuff like reality coins, etc., instead of helping himself. 2. He talks shit about all his friends behind their back and admitted to using them for money, gotcha tickets, etc. 3. He accuses people of fake stuff without any proof, etc., being a PDF file, faking their age, etc. There's a lot more, but that's about what he did to me in our relationship, so it's kind of irrelevant. I'll say some things he did in the relationship as well, but they're less important. 1. He would pressure me into doing things I didn't want to do. 2. He would get himself involved in my drama, which made me lose a lot of my friends. For example, I was arguing with somebody on reality DMs and he logged into my account and made that friend block me. 3. He would insult some things I do, then do them himself. For example, he would belittle me for saying I love you to all my friends, then do the same to his. 4. He would flirt with mine and his friends. 5. Would try to force me to do more than I was already doing to him, etc. I offered to buy him coins so he could pull gotcha. Even though it was my birthday, I said I could only afford about 1,000 and he pressured me into buying him more, but I can't remember. She manipulates others and makes people not want to be friends with them and says they're two-faced when she's the one who starts it. She's known for her behavior, and she said that's how she talks or speaks. She will talk shit behind her friends and say nice things in front of you. So, Redacted was a dead name before, and this is her talking to her ex that I talked about. She is just using people for money. It's funny that she said that nude model when we all know VTubers have naked model bases for outfits and etc. Vex says, yeah, she sent me multiple nude models. It's weird. I hate her low key. She's a good source of polls though. So we also have another instance of Vex trying to keep people around to get things out of them. And Vex responds, says the effing PDF file of all people. You can see my baby is here. He's so sleepy. Oh no, you're leaning over. So Vex put out their own comments and they write, I sent photos to everyone who's ever sent me money of the food I bought. I talk crap about Mashi or Yuchi specifically because she sent me and my girlfriend at the time nude drawings and it made my girlfriend uncomfortable. I've only accused one person of faking their age without any proof. So attached were the screenshots that Yuchi added. And then here we have that screenshot where Vex was talking about Mimi in the comments. Then Vex adds, wouldn't know, I've paid you for the bases. Yuchi, please focus on not cheating on your significant other for once instead of drama for views. I'm trying to let everyone chill out, then I'll explain everything. Thanks. At the end of the day, I'm curious as to your thoughts about this whole situation. Don't send hate to any parties, but please send love to all of the affected parties. Nova, Seiyu, Mimi, Mikkels, Kewpie, Aries Sunyan, Seiyu, and anybody else who was affected by this entire situation and who ended up grieving somebody that did not exist. This is an absolute whirlwind of a situation. There was a GoFundMe for both the first place Aries Sunyan and Mikkels, the second place winner. Aries Sun did not want to be in the GoFundMe, but I just decided to donate the money directly to Mikkels instead, just because I feel like it just made more sense. So yeah, please send love to all the parties involved, and if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribed. Also, check me out on VGen. I have art there now, and I have a coffee where I have free resources for streamers and content creators. And I also stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. So hope to catch you guys there or in another one of my videos.